Downforce is a game that I bought sort of spur of the moment. I was at Target, I saw a copy there, it looked pretty neat, it had toys in it, hard to resist the pull of those, and the price was very reasonable, so I thought, what the heck. So I played it, I bought it, I played it, and today I'm gonna tell you about it. It is a game by Restoration Games, so I assume it is a remake of a previous game, but I haven't played the previous version, so I won't be able to compare, but I played this one, so I'll be able to tell you about that. I played it with my kids, Amelia and Luisa. They are now 9 and 11, and they're also the people I play games with these days. So I played it with 2 people and with 3 players. It goes up to 6, but I won't be able to comment on the number of players. It's a race game. It comes with a board which is double-sided, so there is another track on the other side, and this is what the board looks like when you set it up, at least on this side. You place those cars there, and guess what? They need to go all the way around and cross the line. As they cross the line, they are placed in this section here to indicate the order. And at the end of the game, you will score points based on how well your own cars did. But during the game, you also get to bet on cars. You can bet on yourself, you can bet on other people. If you were doing poorly, you can still score points by betting on cars that will do great. At the end of the game, you total the points that you score from how well you did, the points that you score from your bets. You subtract the points that you invested at the beginning of the game to acquire your cars, and the player with the highest total wins the game. Yes, because at the beginning of the game, we're gonna have a little bit of an auction here. We have these 2 decks, one with special powers and one with pilots based on the colors of their outfit and their car. And so you shuffle these 2 decks, and then you draw a card from each, so creating basically a combination. So in this game, red pilot will come with the aware skill. We have an auction to decide who gets these 2, and then we go for blue that has the savvy skill, and so on and so forth. So during the game, during the auction phase, you may acquire multiple pilots, you may acquire multiple abilities, but at the end, you will choose only one of the special powers to actually use. Also, when you acquire a pilot, you will take the 8 card of the corresponding color and add it to your deck, and we will see what that does and what that means. Everybody should have at least a pilot, and there are different rules for special situations. What if a person doesn't have a pilot and stuff like that? Don't worry about it. In most cases, it's just an auction, and people will get pilots, multiple pilots, especially if you play a low player counts like I did. During the auction, you will use these cards, which are also the cards that then you will use during the game to move your cars. During setup, you shuffle, and then you give out all of the cards as evenly as possible. The entire deck is distributed. So again, especially a low player count, you will have a big amount, a big hand of cards. For the auction, simply put, we look at the pilot that is available now. Everybody chooses a card from their hand secretly, and then everybody reveals it. And we'll look at the band corresponding to the color of the pilot that is being auctioned now. Right now we're looking at light blue, and so the player with the highest number indicated there is the player that wins the auction. It's also possible for you to pass, that is to place a card there that doesn't have the corresponding color. Maybe you have to pass because maybe you have a lot of players, small hands, and you don't have a good card for that. So in this case, the player that plays the 2 gets to take control of this pilot and this skill, and also will control the blue car when the race starts. And you mark down on this record sheet here how much you paid for. So in this case, I write blue 2 here. Everybody receives one of these at the beginning of the game. Now the pad with these sheets that you get is not particularly thick, and so you will probably need to make copies after a while. And so when the auction phase is over, everybody will have a hand of cards to which they will have added the 8 card for the piles that they control, and they will have a sheet of paper like this with indicated how much they paid, because this that they paid will be subtracted at the end from the total that they made, and basically the total of money is also victory points. So the more you spend, the more you will lose in the final phase when you tally the totals. And then it's finally time to start the race. Players will alternate playing cards from their hand, and when you play a card, you must resolve all of the cards indicated on it. Every card indicated on your card moves. Some are wild, so you get to choose which ones will move, but that's still the general idea. In this case, and it's pretty simple, say I play this one, only blue moves, and moves by 5, and so I simply move forward. That's it. I can move straight forward, diagonal forward, I cannot move laterally, I cannot move through cars, no matter who controls them, and so I move by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. Then the next player plays this card, and they move black by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As you can see, it's pretty intuitive once you get the general idea. No surprises there. Oh, there will be surprises though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have to move as far as you can if you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm still resolving this card here. Oh, blue 3. 1, 2, 3. Red 2. And green 1. Now, the game is all about managing your hand of cards, because if you play a good card early on, it's out of the game. If you play all of the cards that have your good cards on it, then you'll be stuck later because you have no or almost no way of moving your cards. But really, on top of managing your hand of card, the game is really almost about handling the bottlenecks. Because if I'm able to place cards like this that either belong to me or it's interesting to me that they are there, then I get other people stuck. And I get them to maybe waste some of their best cards to get there. Because remember, you get to play to move as much as possible the cards indicated on the card. But if there is extra movement left, well, that's it. So, for example, I do have in my hand a super awesome card for yellow. And I don't want yellow, and I don't own yellow, so I don't want yellow to ever get advantage of these 6 things. So I play now because that 6 now is turning into a 2. And that's how I wasted a lot of movement points for my fellow human who was playing with yellow. And that's, I would say, that's really the turning point. That's really the linchpin around which the entire design revolves. Exploit those bottlenecks, get to waste those awesome cars, run as fast as you can when you can, and exploit another bottleneck for as long as possible, and so on and so forth. It's a game that is very confrontational. It doesn't much feel like a game about racing at all, at some very abstract level. It really feels like a game about forcing the opponent to waste their resources as much as possible and exploiting the bottlenecks as much as you can. Run for those, manage your hand while you can, and then run for the next bottleneck. Which I'm not saying in any sort of judgmental or negative way. I just want to make sure that you know what the game is about. It may be disappointing if you're feeling, you know, we're looking for a game that has more of a, again, of a true race feel to it. It's just a different game, which is about hand management, bottleneck management, if that's a word, it is now. And it's very, very, very confrontational. It's again with a major take that element. You're not going to win if you just want to do a great race. You will win if you're actively crushing other people's hopes to win, if you're actively getting them stuck. And that's why the game, which I like, mind you, is not for everybody. So I play with my kids, and one of my kids, Louisa, really did not like that at all. And mind you, Louisa likes war games, and still Louisa thought that this game was too confrontational, didn't like to get stuck that way. but Amelia and I liked it, and so we kept playing it. We played it several times after Luisa had dropped off the competition, and so Luisa will never play this game again probably. But Amelia and I like it. So what I'm telling you is not for everybody, and the flow and the flavor of the game may not be obvious when you look at the box, when you look at the art, when you look at the theme. It is a game that is fairly abstract, that is fairly mean, and there's nothing wrong with either of those things. The betting element feels a little bit secondary, at least if you played the way we played it, which is, again, with low player counts. I guess if you have 6 players and you're stuck behind, that there is really nothing else that you can do, then that's what you're gonna do. But the way you bet is after somebody crosses those 3 yellow lines. That's when you have the first, the second, and the third betting respectively. So everybody marks the player that they think will win or will do well. And so in bet 1, I get to mark this one here, bet 3. And suppose that I had marked yellow in bet 1, and the yellow turns out to be third at the end of the race. That scores me 3 millions, which again is a big 3 points. And that's how the betting works. Again, you're probably gonna try to do good with to do as best as you can with your own cards, and so you're gonna try to bet on yourself. There may be cases where betting matters, but at least when you play with 2 or 3 players, that just not change things all that much. Because early on, it would matter if you score correctly who gets first, and you score that at the first bet. But if I'm second, I'm still gonna bet on myself and try to get first, as opposed to bet on you, and then what am I gonna do? Do not so good, not so well, because I wanted to win. So not as important. I also wonder if, again, higher player counts, there's going to be a little bit of king making if somebody really is out of the race, and you just start negotiating with them. Hey, I'll buy your coffee later if you could play that card. I mean, it doesn't matter to you anyway. So I just wonder, king making may be part of the idea. But other than that, a low player count, I enjoyed this game. I think it was fun, mean, with cute cars, all things that I like. So what can I say? Downforce seems to be a game that is not for everybody, but with the right crowd, in the right circumstances, can be pretty fun.